Hey everyone, as you can tell, I already capped the boss. I did not record, that was an accident. I did a few runs of my updated OTK run. I'm not gonna post that, it's just more damage with super high damage units, so it's basically the same, just more or better gear on Chizuru and A2, so not that interesting for you guys. So let's start with the capping video. I'll do exactly what I did just now. So all modifiers. That's the team I used and I will use again. So it's very, very strong in that regard. Now, obviously, this is not a cheap run by any means. If you're looking for a cheap run, this video is not for you. And as always, I use the best team I can come up with for my personal sake when I do bosses first. So let's get started and clap at this clash. Okay, so here we are. The boss has a 1 billion HP barrier, which is hard to pass, but we do have our means to do so. Also, please note, the boss has killers towards human and beasts, and Esther is a human, but we can manage that easily even. So Tsukiko, turn 1, is going to Prayer of Purification, Prayer of Protection, and Aiden's Consecration Light. Now also notice that we do have a magic typed dot. So that one ticks very hard for the first 3 turns, but we are prepared and it's fine. So Compassionate Knight, Elemental Vines and Elemental Petals on Sylvie. Kaito started in base for dual wielding Wilkes card, more morale basically. He shifts to Brave and does Torrential Downpour, Deep Submersion and Destabilizing. A2, offensive heal combo, heals herself and more importantly buffs morale. A2, avoid, Katana Imperil, stat buff, Force Dex Mirage and morale. True Charge Spear and True Charge Blade, which are the Machina and Human Killer buffs respectively, 250 for self, 1 turn only, and 5 turns of 150 buff AoE for the party, as well as regenerating some morale. So let's send in the DPS. Let's hope for some good drops on Esther. This looks very good already. Oh yeah, this looks very nice. Now, all we need, technically speaking, is just a single drop on Esther. We were luckier, we got a few more. It's still not enough to use Storm Defender 2, but that's okay. Shadowbolt and Energizing Bunny. We can use Storm Defender next turn then. It's totally not necessary to use Storm Defender here. So here's the dot. It hurts, as you can tell, but we'll be fine. There is the gravity attack the boss does on turn 1 and some minor attacks on Esther that don't really hurt her, even though she only has 50% general mitigation. That attack buff or the human killer buff on the boss, it really does nothing to Esther. Also very cool that Esther is countering right now. That helps with the LB gauge. It's totally not necessary. We would just unshift her again and it'd be fine. So in this case, Boundless Stasis, Storm Defender on Esther, and True Storm Brand. That's for the Emperor because our first burst is going to be lightning based. So let's do that first and deplete her LB gauge, refresh it, and with Gucci, Tamaguchi even. Tsukiko, Blessed Omamori, Prayer of Purification, and Purging Mandala Light. Sylvie, still in base, uses Paladin's Resolve for that rolling healing, Elemental Vines, Elemental Petals. Kaito goes back to base, and because he does hurt a lot, we're gonna use Man of Few Words. It's kind of tragic to use this one because it's his personal 200% Machina killer, but it does have 90% mitigation buff, or general mitigation for him, which is very, very nice. We're gonna use Receding Tide for 5-stack Mirage and Tranquil Flow. A2 is just going to keep healing and morale filling, and 2B is just going to do the killer buffs, which don't care, we just need the morale basically. So let's send the DPS and all is fine. And as you can tell, with this damage we will never deplete that 1 billion barrier, but that's not needed honestly. Alright, Esther taking some minor damage to boss. I don't really know yet what these attacks do, but they all seem physically based and we can just evade them. So it's all Gucci. Alright, turn 3. So we're gonna unshift Esther here for a brief moment. We're gonna shift Tsukiko. While this may seem suicidal, considering the boss, the dot ticks really hard, we have a plan for that. So Tsukiko is going to use Solar Flare. Sylvie also shifts. We are completely safe this turn, trust me. And she is going to Marion's Blessing Lightning. We are going to do, let's see, do I need Paladin's Resolve? I don't feel like I need it yet. I'd rather keep this for later. So Caring Paladin and Clever Paladin. Kaito shifts back to the Brave Shift. And he's going to use Deadly Natural Stream, Natural Flux, Deadly Stream in that order. And because I have to for phase 2, I'd rather not use Crashing Wave right now, but it turned out that I really need it on turn 8. So I'm gonna use it right now. It removes the barrier on this turn. It also removes the human killer next turn, and it does the same on turn 4 and turn 5. That's why we need it the most. So let's do this. Alright, A2 is going to SLB and 2B is going to LB on this turn because they need to modify their stuff. Okay, we can also just do an attack buff right now. So we sent in Kaito, we sent in these two. And then we'll send in these two. They are not going to chain because A2's SLB chains, they are Suda-esque frames on her SLB. I don't know, it's EN, but delayed EN. Whoever came up with this at Gumi, I don't know. They really hate premium units themselves, apparently. Anyway, so Esther is going to Electromagnetic Shield, Storm Guardian. And that's the reason why we can survive this, because Storm Guardian is a 75% general mitigation buff for the party. And last action is going to be Shadow Bolt. That looks good to me. Alright, 13k barrier 2, very nice. And yeah, there it is, so we easily survived all of this. My morale isn't looking that hot this time around. I usually am at 200% morale on turn 3, but whatever. We'll have 200% morale next turn then. So turn 3 is still rather easy on Esther, as you can tell. Now turn 4 is where the boss really goes ham on Esther. But we will manage. Because we're gonna guard Esther. And that's the trick to this. So let's shift back Tsukiko to the safe form, and we will just pray of purification 3 times. Sylvie's going to limit burst, so let's do these things right away. Morale gauge is full, and we are going to just unshift Kaito here. Actually, I'll just do Deadly and Natural in this case. And refresh. Torrential. A2 is going to triple finisher for some chip damage. She doesn't need to heal, she's fine. And 2B is going to shift back. And there isn't really much reason to do any of this, so we're gonna RO40 Blade. Let's do some chip damage. And like I said, Esther can just guard. And yeah, this should secure us a very comfortable push of the next phase. So here's the huge damage on Esther I was talking about. It really hurts, as you can tell, but she is fine. This was the onslaught, so she took right about 20k damage. A lot, but fine. Alright, she counters herself back up to some HP. Minor HP. Actually pretty decently even. Not even mad. Is 2B's LB gauge 4? It would not appear so. Now, please note the boss still has the defense buff. We don't care one bit, we're still gonna push that phase. So base form LB on 2B, Hateful Blade on A2, Brave Shifted LB on Kaito, Sylvie triples Paladin Strike. So if your 2B's LB gauge is not full on this turn for whatever reason, it should be because we triple our 40 bladed beforehand. But if it's not, you can use triple Clever Paladin Strike, and you should. And that fills her LB gauge, and you can then quickly swap to B and just use her LB too. Alright, so we're gonna start off with Resounding. Well, we don't need to, honestly, but it's fine. And send in Tsukiko, Sylvie first, and then the right hand side. So let's start, send, and this should be fine. And also a fairly easy push of the face. There we go. That was a very bad variance roll on 2B, 578 or so. Okay, so Esther is going to Stasis, Storm Defender, and Shadowbolt here. The boss does literally nothing on this turn, other than healing up by 2.1 billion. We did 2.2, yeah, like I said, bad variance roll, but we will do our big damage in phase 2. Okay. So turn 6, the boss now only has human mitigation, which is totally fine. So we need to unshift Esther here. We are going back to the base form with Tsukiko, Prayer of Purification, Prayer of Protection, and Purging Mandala Light. Sylvie goes back to base, and she is going to do Burgeoning Defense, Compassionate Knight, and Elemental Petals. So let's do all of that. We have now our big mitigation buff up. Actually, I could probably delay Burgeoning Defense because the first turn, turn 6, is super safe. But whatever. Now, what's also important to note is that the boss does not have any debuffs whatsoever. So we need to reapply all those debuffs again. What we're gonna do, so Natural Flux, Deadly Stream, and Torrential Downpour. So we're gonna do that first. A2 is going to SLB on this turn, and 2B is going to just R40 Blade because we need to. Now, technically speaking, I could just go with the Light Imbue and stuff, but it's, I guess I'm not gonna do anything else. So we're gonna imperil the boss to light right away and imbue 2B and then R40 Blade. Yeah, that looks good to me. So let's send these two in. They won't change regardless. Chain regardless here. Oh, they do. No, they don't. Never mind. Okay, so Esther can... Whoops, you need to shift, girl. So how much longer on her big mitigations? I probably should be refreshing. No, I did just refresh them. So they are until turn 9. That's very good. So I have a few turns of leeway. I can't even use them. So we are just going to use Energizing Bunny in this case. There is the debuff ticking. Lock on target. Okay. So the boss is going to do some good damage onto Esther, but that's okay. The next turn is going to be super painful yet again, but we will guard Esther in this case. And luckily she does counter, so that's cool. The more HP, the better. She does counter a lot even. Wow. Alright, Esther guard. Tsukiko. Let's see. She's going to Blessed Omamori Prayer. Actually, I don't need to prayer of let me see. Maybe I do need to pray of purification. What's the status on her imperils? She doesn't have any, so that's fine. So Sukiko can prepare already. Solar Flare. Sylvie is going to resolve Vines and Paladin's defense. That's why I saved it earlier. Kaito is going to Flux, Deadly, and Man of Few Words. A2 is just going to finish her 3 times. She's totally safe. 2B is going to shifting and use her shifted LB because we're bursting turn 9. Okay. So let's do all of that. Yeah, Esther can just guard right away. We'll send in Sukiko and all of them. I probably should have done the 400 attack buff too, but oh well. No, it's too late. And Esther guard, hoping that she survives, but she should be fine, hopefully. 48,000 HP. Let's see. So here comes big boy damage from the boss yet again. A lot less painful. Very good. Now I do have to check whether the boss does or did the human killer buff right now on him or on it, or whether it's next turn, but I believe it's this turn where it's happening. 15k barrier. Yeah, it's gonna happen this turn, so I technically should be guarding Esther yet again. We still have cover, we still have the mitigation buff, so I can totally guard Esther again. Sukiko goes back to base. Blessed Omamori, Prayer of Protection. Purification, sorry. Sylvie shifts and leaps to love. Kaito will remove stuff with Crashing Wave, will Downpour, and will Deadly. A2 is just going to, let's see, turn 9, so your hot type A. We are already using a strong Emperor, so Finisher. 2B, base form, supreme support weapon, and R40 blade. And this should do some good damage. Okay, Esther, refracting Velvet, just loading it up with all the stuff. Alright, so Kaito goes first, so we get rid of the imperils, the shield I mean. It's gone, and let's send in the DPS for some good damage, hopefully. 150% buffs should do the trick. Yeah, 66%, looks good. Let's guard Esther, and hope for the best here. Oh yeah, it's this easy turn, but I still believe the boss is going to hit Esther pretty hard with... it didn't, so I wasted a turn on Esther, great. Oh, there it is, 1300. I should not have guarded. I went the safe route, whatever. Okay, now it's time for Burst. We may or may not kill the boss, but this time around we are going to remove those buffs. So Kaito, do your thing. Unpredictable Tide and double Torrential Blade Storm. Let's make sure everything's up and running. Looks fantastic. So, Hateful Blade, Yorha Slaughter, shifting Sukiko, who was never able to use that Sage card sadly, Shining Karmic, and triple Clever Paladin Strike. Esther stays in shift in case we don't kill the boss right now. There is a chance that it doesn't happen. So let's prepare for that. We're gonna send Kaito first for that buff removal, and then we're sending in the other ones. But honestly though, yeah, I should. So let's send. wait, and send. And the boss is at 1%. Okay. So Esther might die because turn 9 is super amazingly dangerous. We'll see. Can I afford to guard yet again? Yes, I can. So I would guard yet again on Esther. Whew, so Kiko is dead, but that's okay. As long as the rest doesn't die. Spider Pierce, that's so... Ooh. Don't die, Esther. Oh, it's over. I won. The boss has done its trick. Too bad Tsukiko died, but yeah, I guess. But at the end of the day, that's fine. There goes the buff on the boss, and the fight is over. So we can just Deadly Stream 3 times. A2 is just going to finish her. Finish her, or finish it. And RO40 Blade. And that's gonna be all she wrote. So let's not prolong this and finish this out. Goodbye. And that's pretty much it. Rank 1. I should have checked how much burst damage we dealt. I didn't even look at the damage number here. Now that was an actual clean clear. So I'm happy about that. Too bad Tsukiko died, but yeah, low HP in Brave Shift. So let's check out the damage. Oh yeah, 2B hard carried this. Very nice. Tsukiko, off element, still very respectable, very nice. Kaito just here for support. Yeah, looks good. Alright, let's see the Fortuna reward. All trash. Good. Now let's check out the party builds. Like I mentioned, that's not very cheap what I'm using. So Esther. Esther has a lot of resistances. So she has more than 100% to lightning and light. Now we do have 150% light buffs and 200% lightning buff from Sylvie, meaning she's at 300, meaning she's for the entirety of the fight immune to lightning and light, which is very important because the boss does this type of damage. She also is very high on defense. I could go way higher, but yeah, Blizzard Orb, one of it is on her. She's passive provoking. I don't particularly need, or I could have gone for lightning absorption instead of with Storm Kickers. I found this to be a too hard drop in defense. It only has 10, so not worth it in my opinion. So I went with the Storm Bunny Jacket for the TMR bonus here, and that's fine. Ability side of things, lots of resistances and HP and defense, and she's using Mont's card, which is good. Technically speaking, if you have the Dragon Quest card, it's also very good, but I found this to be useful. Base form is this one, like I mentioned, maxed out LB fill rate. She has 1000%, so that's really good. So this is the stuff she has. The rest you can ignore, the Dragon and the Guardian of Light Requiem. Next up, Tsukiko. Base form, Empress Celestite, lots of HP, some spirit, as you can tell. So yeah, it's good. And Sage card, which I didn't end up using, so in reality I should change her setup or the vision card to adjust for it, but yeah. The Brave Shift, standard gearing. I thought I would use the Sage card, and now that I know that I cannot use it, I would use some different gearing, but this is what I used. She has Prideful Incarnate because I thought I would need that light resistance. I didn't end up needing it at all. I find it sad that the only way to deal damage to the party these days in Clash of Wills is by having a dot on the party instead of them being blasted by things such as Chromatic Wave, even though I hated Chromatic Wave, but it's more dangerous than that dot, TBH. So this is Sylvie's build, she's dual wielding in base form with her own card, meaning lots of morale fill, treasured memorial ring for the initial burst. And yeah, the rest is pretty much from last month's Clash of Worlds. So here it is, same deal in Brave Shift, exactly the same stuff I had last month on Sylvie, so it didn't change anything. Kaito, like I mentioned, dual wielding in base, lots of SPR 2000, and that even didn't matter, to be honest, because he still took a big hit, but you need a good chunk of SPR. And he's using Wilk's card, like I mentioned, because he's dual wielding in base. Brave Shift, get full DPS. He isn't really a good DPS. All there is to him is literally him just being your debuff removal unit. Indestructible Light, yada yada yada. So he has 300, 300, if I'm not totally mistaken. Indeed, and maxed out LB. Alright, next up, A2. She is an SLB unit. First time for me using an SLB unit in Clash. I think she was fine for this. I didn't really feel like she was a burden or anything. She did well on her own, so I guess that's fine. It's going to be very interesting to see how she fares next month, whether she's going to be still good if the boss does crazier things. But if the last months are any trend, the bosses are not that dangerous to the party outside of some spirit-based or magic-based dot effects. So I would guess that A2 is going to be okay, as is going to be Olive if it's magic-based or you want to use mages, such as on the Tsukiko Clash. I don't know, I feel like the clashes lately have been way too accommodating to the SLB units that have very, very low spirit. And I find this so irritating. Like, if you're doing SLB units, you really should amp up or bulk them up, especially. I don't mind SLB units as much as I used to, but I do want him to be bulky. Like, NBA Titus is a very good example of a very, very good SLB unit. He is very self-sufficient, he caps out most stuff, he has good bulk for an NVA unit, and I wish Gumi would translate this into modern units, especially premium units such as A2 and 2B. And this also applies to 2B. 2B has horrendous defense and spirit values, as well as magic or P values in case of 2B. And I don't understand why they would treat premium units in a way they do treat just the regular units like JP units do. It's baffling to me, but I'll rant about this tomorrow and the day after tomorrow in the reviews. But yeah, in this case, A2 was fine as an SLB unit. This is the gear, these are the abilities. Don't forget to use her TMR on A2, and yeah, she uses her own card. She that's another thing I don't like about A2. She doesn't cap out Human Killer initially, which 2B does, so I had to put this on her, which I find super irritating for a premium unit, to be honest, but yeah, it's fine. And then lastly, 2B base form, big DPS, 11,500 attack, uses the dark vision weapon, has all the good stuff basically. She was my main DPS, and as you can tell, she doesn't really use any killer materials, not a single one outside, well, Vortex. And yet she still caps out on everything. Oh, by the way, also own card. And as you can tell, 300 human, 300 machina, maxed out LB. She is so much more slot efficient than A2, and I just dislike it, honestly. I mean, it's super good that 2B is that slot efficient, but I hate that A2 isn't. But that's another story for another day. And that's pretty much it, the Brave Shift. Now, in hindsight, I did not ever need full evasion on 2B. So the actual build that I would use on her, knowing right now, is just a full-on DPS build in here as well. It doesn't matter that she loses bulk in this. It's never an issue on her. So this is what I would actually go for. Shy Mermaid, I would still keep. That Ihana TMR, it's just 200 attack, and who cares? I'd rather still have Shy Mermaid for that additional bar, because as you can tell, 1300 spirit is very low. That's Sky level of low, and we all know how old Sky is at this point. So I'm rather disappointed in that bulkiness of these two premium units. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you all for watching. I hope this helped. I know, not very cheap. In fact, rather expensive. But it was fun. I like the boss overall. I also like that it healed itself, which made it more spiced up. But I can see why players would complain about this, because it makes the boss artificially harder than it probably has to be. But I enjoyed this, so I like the mechanic. Anyway, thank you all for watching. See you tomorrow for the A2 review. Bye bye.